Continuing our discussion, we have a problem here that the graph of the velocity of a particle moving on the x-axis is given, and the particle starts at -2 at time 0. So here's a graph of that. So you can see that the velocity is negative, then positive, then negative. So this is a velocity function we're looking at in meters per second, and the time is in seconds, okay? Determine where the particle is at the end of the 10-second trip. Okay, well now we have to actually find these areas. Okay, so here I have a triangle with a height of 3 and a base of 1.5. Now is it exactly 1.5? Well, I can see that the slope is up 6/2. So the slope is, am I right about that? I'm sorry, up 6/3. So the slope is 2. So if the slope is 2, I should be going up 2/1. So if I go up 1, I'll go 1/2. So that is definitely 1.5. So 3 by 1.5, and then of course I have to divide that by 2. So that would be 2.25, and it would be negative because it's going downward. Now here I have an odd shaped thing. I can break this up into a triangle, which looks to be the exact same size as this one. So that would be 2.25. And then it looks like I can have a trapezoid right here. This trapezoid has a height of 3, one base of 3, and another base of 2. So 3 and 2 add up to 5. 5 times 3 is 15, and half of 15 is 7.5 right there. Then I have a triangle that's 2 by 2, so half of that would be 2. And then a little triangle here, which is hard to see because I got this thing circled, but it appears to have a base and height of 2 also. So this looks like this will be -2. So if I start at -2 and I move 2.25 left and right, that's going to cancel each other out to make 0. Plus move 7.5 and 2 more to the right, that will be 9.5. Then move back 2 to the left. It looks as though that will put me at where? Well, if I started at -2, move 9.5 to the right, that would put me at 7.5 minus 2. That looks like it would put me at 5.5. The 5.5 mark, wherever that is. Determine total distance traveled. Well, that would just be taking -2.25 and +2.25 and making them all positive. So taking the absolute value of all of them. So adding all of these together should give me the answer that I'm looking for. So that would be 4.5, and 7.5 is 12, 14, that would be 16. And since the velocity is in meters per second, that would be 16 meters. Okay, so another problem similar to the one we did right before it. Now, what if I give you a problem here, or instead of a graph, I give you a function? Giving v of t the velocity of the particle along the x-axis, use analytic methods to analyze each of the following. So the velocity is 4 sine t cosine t on the interval from 0 to 2 pi. So where does this particle move to the right, where does it move to the left, and when does it stop? Well, that's kind of a semester 1 question, really. To find out where it moves right, left, and stops, we find out where the velocity is positive, negative, and 0. So to find out where velocity is positive and negative, I first need to find out where it's 0. So where does 4 sine t cosine t equals 0? Well, in the interval from 0 to 2 pi, it will equal 0 wherever either sine equals 0 or cosine equals 0. Now sine will equal 0 anywhere on the x-axis. So at 0, pi, and 2 pi. Cosine will equal 0 anywhere on the y-axis. So therefore at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. So the particle is going to stop at all of those times because the velocity is 0. So it's going to stop at, and I shouldn't put a parentheses, these aren't going to be ordered pairs. So it's going to stop at x equals all of these, 0, if I put them in order, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and then at the very end at 2 pi. Now, when does it move right and when does it move left? Well, a sign chart would help with that. From 0 to 2 pi, we'll test the velocity to find out where it's positive and negative. So let me put down my critical values here, pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. So if I'm between 0 and pi over 2, I'm in the first quadrant. Well, everything's positive there, so positive, the 4 is positive also, so positive, 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 that's good. Pi over 2 to pi is second quadrant. Sine would be positive there, but cosine would be negative, so that's going to be negative. Pi and 3 pi over 2, that's third quadrant, where they're both negative, so that goes back to positive. And then in the fourth quadrant, cosine's positive, but sine is negative, so that's negative. So it's going to move to the right where velocity is positive, from 0 to pi over 2, and then from pi to 3 pi over 2. It will move left whenever the velocity is negative, and that would be from pi over 2 to pi, as well as from 3 pi over 2 to 2 pi. If we ask for justification, you make sure then that you tell that we know this because the velocity is positive and negative respectively, or 0 positive and negative respectively. Find the particle's displacement for the given time interval. If x of 0 is 1, what is the particle's final position? So I want to find the displacement first. So displacement is just the integral of the velocity over time. Now, from 0 to 2 pi. So we are going to, I'm going to use FNint for this just to save some time real quick. Make sure you're in radian mode. I could find this derivative analytically using a little u substitution, but as I said, we'll just speed things up a little bit. So math number 9, I'm going to go from 0 to 2 pi, and again, make sure you're in radian mode, of 4 sine t cosine t. I have to put in x's instead of t's, obviously, with respect to x, and I find my displacement is 0. How about that? Which means the area above the axis must equal the area below the axis. So if x of 0 is 1, the final position will be 1 because its displacement was 0. So since this displacement is 0, then the final position is 1 plus 0, which is still at 1. And again, this is our displacement. Now, what about total distance traveled? Well, let's go back to our calculator, and now we got to take the absolute value of the velocity. So I'm just going to paste this. And I don't know if, I guess there's not a graceful way of doing this. I don't know if I can edit this. Yeah, I'm going to have to, I suppose, get rid of all this in the integrand here. So I deleted everything now. Might as well. Math 9, 0 to 2 pi. And then let's get our absolute value. So I can go in alpha window. There's number 1 absolute value of, and then put in the function 4 sine x, close the parentheses, cosine x, close the parentheses. With respect to x, and bam. That should take a little while, but once it's done, it gives me 8. So we know that the total distance traveled by the particle was 8. And that was simply the integral from 0 to 2 pi of the absolute value of the velocity with respect to time. And there's our total distance traveled. Okay, what if you're given a table of values rather than a graph or a function? The table below gives the rate at which a pump is able to pump water over a half hour. Well, now we're going to have to do an approximation. And the best way to do an approximation is either to use a trapezoidal rule, it'll be the most accurate, or a midpoint Riemann sum. I'm going to use a midpoint Riemann sum because it's pretty simple to do. If we use intervals of 5, which would be smart because that's how the time is given, I can see that the first midpoint would be at 2.5. Second midpoint would be at 7.5. Next midpoint, 12.5. Then the next one is 17.5. And then finally the second last would be 22.5 and then 27.5. So those are all the midpoints. That's where they occur. All right. And then take the midpoints of these rates. So this would be 59 gallons per minute, 62.5, 64.5 would be the midpoint between 64 and 65, 61, 57.5, and finally 56. Now, how do I do a midpoint Riemann sum again? Well, it's the base of each rectangle times the height. These are the heights at the midpoints. Okay, these are all the midpoints. These are the heights at those midpoints. These are the numbers I need. As far as the base, these intervals are all how big? 5 units. So base of 5 for each one. I'm going to go down below here, give myself some space, but not too much so I can see this. The base is 5, and then times all the heights. So the sum of 59, 62.5, 64.5, 61, 57.5, and finally 56. So if we add all those up and multiply by 5, we will get the number of gallons pumped. Why is it number of gallons pumped? Because the 5 is in hours, and all these heights are in gallons per hour. So that'll give us a total number of gallons. Okay? I'll leave that to you to add them up and kind of figure out what that value would be. Okay? Notice that didn't involve velocity and acceleration, that involves something else. But now back to velocity and acceleration. What if you're actually given the acceleration? So in this problem, I'm going to tell you that the acceleration due to Earth's gravity is 32 feet per second squared. And from ground level, a projectile is fired straight up at 120 feet per second. So what I'm giving you here is acceleration, which is constant, and then I'm giving you that the object is fired up at 125 feet per second. That's the velocity at time 0. Okay, so what is the projectile's velocity after 2 seconds? Well, if acceleration is 32 feet per second, velocity would be its antiderivative, which is, in general, 32t plus c. Now, what do I know? I know that the starting velocity was 120. So at time 0, the velocity is 120 when t is 0. So that gives us a c value of 120. So I know the velocity is going to be, now instead of 32t plus c, with that initial condition, I know it's 32t plus 120. So velocity at 2 seconds would be 64 plus 120, or 184. Oops, that's impossible. It's got to go down. Here's my mistake. Acceleration due to Earth's gravity is 32 feet per second, but we got to be careful. Acceleration is pulling the object down, so it's negative 32. So I almost screwed that up. In fact, I did for a second there. So sorry about that. If we put in negative 32 times 2, that's negative 64 plus 120. That would be 56 feet per second. Yeah, the object's got to slow down due to gravity. So negative 32 is what we wanted to start with. When does the particle actually hit the ground? Well, when? They want to know at what time it hits the ground. So at what time, so x of what time will the position be 0? When will its height be 0? Is what I want to know. Well, I need a position function for that. So if velocity is negative 32t plus 120, which we found in part A, then position is going to be what? Negative 16t squared plus 120t plus c. Now I know the particle is shot up from ground level, so at time 0, position is 0, so now I know position is negative 16t squared plus 120t, with c being 0. Set this equal to 0 and solve for time. We'll finish this in the last video.